Let us activate Instagram. So Justin, how's your day going so far? We'll have a little bit of a
So
conversation.
far, so far, so good. I always look forward to these OSIS U episodes. I get into my nice professor mindset. Having a great day. How about yourself?
I woke up today and just like yesterday, actually, I felt like a fresh spring breeze. Myself, I felt like a fresh spring breeze. So it's been a nice day so far. And I mean all the good stuff, all the good news and the progress this morning has got me super hyped up. So I feel like very fulfilled, very good progress on the whole day. Okay, so we are now live on Instagram too. What's going on, Instagram? I see a handful of you here, half a dozen people popped in. Let's see if Twitter is also live. It's hit or miss with this tech.
Mhm.
Um, it looks like Twitter today is not trying to be live. We are live on YouTube as well, which is cool. Let's see if let's see if Twitter wants to be cool or not. Let's try one more thing before we totally dive into this. Guys, this is also going to be a you can consider it a more casual. We're going to be a little bit casual. We're not going to be super serious because it is training for the real deal. But we are still going to bring some good content to you. So give me 30 seconds here, guys, to add Twitter on as well. Twitter has been super buggy the past, I don't know, few months since I've started using it. It's been surprisingly buggy, more than pretty much any other
Mm.
app that I've used for some of the technical stuff.
Yeah, they're constantly tweaking in the background. It makes it hard for things to sync up with it.
Yeah, I think that is the case. So let's see it. I disconnected it and I've reconnected it. We should be online. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. What's going on, IG? So we are live on IG. We are live on YouTube. We can just move forward. How many people we have in the room? What's going on, Rachel? What's going on, Juan? I'm glad you can make it. What's going on, Tomaso? What's up, Philip? Good to see you, Philip. And Federico or Sean. Or should I call you by government name? Well, hey, we can dive into this. We can dive into this now, Justin. Uh, I'll give a little bit of a background, and then Justin will dive into a preamble on this. So, for today's episode, we're considering this episode 1. This is actually going to be a freebie for the entire course. The rest of the course, all the episodes are going to be paid. It's going to be a premium service. Like I said, Justin and I are going to be meeting up in a few weeks from now in a studio with Ollie, with the whole camera crew, with the whole boom mic hanging over our heads,
Lots
armchair.
of makeup.
Yeah, yeah, the makeup. I think I'm the only one that needs it. We got Clark Kent over here. Uh, and uh yeah, the program is coming along nicely for the next few weeks. Coming up to this specific date when we are going to be in the studio, we're going to be practicing. We're going to be bringing this content out and getting as much feedback as we can from you guys. So please freely share, comment, anything on your mind. This is not like a super strict presentation, but we are going to get in the zone, and you are going to learn something, a lot of things, for sure, for sure. Uh, but yeah, today's episode 1. We're going to give this for free to the world on the main website once OSIS U, the first course, goes live. And then episodes 2 through whatever number are going to be paid. But yeah, so let's dive in. Justin, you can take the microphone.
Fantastic. Well, hello, everyone. Thanks again for joining us. I know most of you are familiar with me now, but my name is Justin Francisco. I'm the CMO with OSIS. And basically, what I want to do right now is just sort of paint a picture for the future and where we're heading. So let me dive in. Today, corruption, fraud, and financial instability run wild. The current times are hard and scary, as I'm sure we all know. Traditional systems are facing so much strain under the weight of inefficiency and deceit. People are feeling trapped by opaque governance, economic inequality, and the ever-present risk of financial crises. I remember 2008. I was young, but I remember it. A crisis caused by human greed. But a bright future is on the horizon. A future where blockchain and tokenization offer unprecedented freedom for the individual and usher in an era of transparency and trust. In this new world, financial transactions are instantaneous, secure, and devoid of middlemen, allowing for greater liquidity than ever before. Bitcoin started this journey, creating trustless and sound money. Ethereum added the gas, and now OSIS is here to tokenize the world.
Beautiful. Beautiful. What did you guys think of that intro?
See some comments in the chat.
Sweet. Okay, we got some
Got some
claps. We got some
claps.
claps. Okay, let's dive into some of the content. So what I wanted to really paint a picture of, and Justin, I'm going to ask your help for this too. We've already painted the one side of the of really the state of the economy. It's a very sensitive thing. It's a sensitive subject too, and a lot of people don't want to believe that it's not as stable as we think it is, that things could crash. Things go really downhill on a global level if one superpower like the United States has some trouble, has too much debt, has some kind of a bank crisis, a bank run. It affects everyone globally. And it's not just the US that's in a difficult position. Canada is too. A lot of European countries are too. Everyone is facing a significant amount of inflation. Everyone is drowning in debt, like everybody. How many people actually own their homes outright? It's crazy. The world from one perspective is really crazy, and it's actually very fragile.
Yes. And I'm sure people have noticed, inflation's been getting worse, the cost of groceries have been going up. And the thing is, everything's sort of interconnected, right? Like everything's sort of slowly failing at once. That's sort of the reason it hasn't all come out like all at once, is that, the US is sort of still the central powerhouse of this whole system. And everything is kind of, I would say failing at once in slow motion. And when something finally does give, it's going to be concerning. But that's what's really exciting about, these cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin really existing and the journey that it kicked off. And now OSIS really like furthering that. That's what shines for me as a beacon of hope. Otherwise, I'd be terribly stressed about all of this.
Well, okay, let's picture this. Step out of our current situation. Right now, the world is burning and everything's kind of messed up. Okay. We're in a bunch of wars. Let's step out of that. Okay. Let's step out of that and let's
Totally.
look at a future now with the technology that we have, everything from artificial intelligence, robotics, and the evolution of money, which is Bitcoin and digital currencies, digitization of the world. What is that? What does that experience look like? Like what do you see in the
Sure.
future in
I
the
mean,
human experience?
honestly, there's this one scene I always picture. It's like I picture a fellow driving up in his sports car. He gets out, the streets are very clean, everything looks very nice. He gets
Mhm.
out and he takes his phone, he points it at this building next to him, and then using AR technology, the building lights up and all of this information pops up about it. And he's like, you know what, I'd like to invest in this. I'd like to buy a chunk of this building through tokenization. He does. He buys a chunk of that building and then he walks inside. And then there's a cafe in there, and he's like, I'm feeling like a coffee. And so what he does is he spends a portion of the building he just bought as currency to buy this coffee. So what I'm picturing is a world where basically everything is a currency and a spendable asset. That's the like infinite liquidity that I imagine in the future.
So like get this. Okay, if Justin tokenized himself, if Justin had was a part of this future and so was I and so is Alien and so is Dominic, so is everyone in this chat, which we all will be inevitably.
Mhm.
And we all have different kinds of currencies. I could be like, hey Justin, thanks for the coffee or thanks for dinner tonight, you know, and I will, I'll pay you back in my currency, like literally me, my brand, my name. I will give you the Jalal coin. And Justin's able to take that and go to the grocery store tomorrow and buy dinner. Like he's able to go and buy some eggs and some rice, some bacon, and he's able to spend Jalal coin or Justin coin or or a piece of the building that he owns or another asset or OSIS tokens, he's no longer stuck with the Canadian dollar or the US dollar or the euro or these other currencies. He's able to interchange, and it almost becomes like this barter economy where everything and everyone is tokenized. Like you can give a piece of your car in payment for like a tattoo, for example, and that person receiving a piece of your car can go and sell it to the dealership, for example, and trade that for a new car. And
Yeah, and honestly, like to tie into that point, one idea that I like related to that is like the speculation aspect on there. Like, if you gave me Jalal coin, I'm not selling that. I'm holding on to that because I believe in your future. I believe that coin's going up in value. You know what I mean? Maybe somebody else gives me a share of their car, and I'm like, oh, that car is kind of breaking down a little bit. I'm not really bullish on that car anymore. Like, get rid of that one, sell that instead. You know, it opens up this amazing world of like infinite possibilities.
this universal value system. Now get this. Okay, so once upon a time, well, we'll say today, if we're looking into the past, which is the present, we today have no ability to participate in like 99.9% of things that are actually profitable. For example, businesses that go public on the public stock markets, like a lot of big tech companies, for example, the Apples and Amazons and the Facebooks and the Figma and the really everything, Zoom, Google, all of these companies had to go IPO at some point in time. They went public. It's called an initial public offering.
Mhm.
These things in the past were completely untouchable. We were not involved. We don't even know. We weren't nowhere near that. It was always just a small handful of investors that could get into it, and then they would make like 1,000 times their money in a very predictable and safe-ish investment. Regular people are out here buying lottery tickets because that's the best you're going to get to that. And then now today there's tokenization. So actually, yeah, you can go and buy into a certain project and make 1,000% on an
Yes.
investment.
Yeah,
But
exactly. Like previously, you know, the world was kind of divided into two, right? It's the people on top with all the power and all their friends and all their buddies. Like they're just like, yeah, you're getting on this project, get in on that. And they're making, like you said, 1,000x their money. Well, that's ridiculous. Why should the world be like that? I think, you know, I believe in a fair world, and I know Jalal does as well. And I know that's exactly what OSIS is all about. It's about empowering the individual and creating a world where we can all benefit off of the creativity of all the minds coming together to create this beautiful future. Why should we have this like have and have not? I think that's terrible.
yeah, yeah, and so that there is technology is naturally advancing into this direction. It's happening real time. We're seeing it today. It is in the blockchain world, in the crypto world. A lot of people who don't understand what blockchain and crypto is, you can think of it like just the same as the internet, but it's money on the internet. It's money
Mhm.
that has transitioned to be available on the internet.
Yes. And like another thing, like even just transitioning away from the concept of money too much, like what's the most important thing about a human life? What's the thing you enjoy most, right? For me, I love drawing in my spare time. Wouldn't it be great if I could do that more, right? Like let's say I put my drawings up and then people are like, ah, that's fantastic. And they shoot me some, you know, they buy into Justin coin, let's say. And it's like, oh, great. Now I get to do that far more. And that's going to be far more prevalent in a tokenized future. People like the transfer of money is just going to be like unprecedented. And I think everybody's going to be a lot wealthier so that we don't even have to think about money as much. Right now, that's like it dominates your mind all the time because that's like the primary thing that fuels the world. Would it be great if we could open up a lot of that mind space for what we're like truly passionate about as human beings?
So, okay, Juan said it. This is mind blowing. There's a few different things that we have upcoming. And from one perspective, it's pretty scary. Like the concept of artificial intelligence taking over everything. It is. It's a matter of fact. Everyone's seen
Change
the
is
new
scary.
ChatGPT. Yeah, everyone's seen the new GPT zero, right? Or GPT O. ChatGPT went from being a basic chatbot that just said normal responses like a conversation to being able to like look at you and have humor and sarcasm and be like a hot chick communicating. Like that is this in a year and a half. It hasn't even been 2 years yet. Think about this. What is going to happen in the next 10 years? Are we going to have people serving at restaurants? Are we going to have, because robotics is moving just as fast, and now suddenly you give a robot intelligence and range of motion. What's stopping a robot from taking over every single factory job? What's stopping AI and robots from taking over every single,
Yeah.
like 99% of service jobs, accounting? Man, I can't wait till like accounting gets taken over by robots because they're going to be better at counting numbers and not making mistakes than any human being.
Yes, exactly. That's not what humans are for, really. I mean, we're not well adapted to that sort of thing. Like humans are really great at like, living, going outside, eating food, talking to each other face to face, and that sort of stuff. And I think wouldn't it be great if the future enables all of that? Allow us to be human again. Let's, take all that stuff, put it on the robots. You know what I mean?
and and see, that's the optimistic perspective that I love, and I truly believe that is the future. A lot of people are really scared about
Mhm.
the shift, and it makes sense for a lot of people to be scared. I can completely understand that because a lot of people are going to lose jobs. Like 90% of the workforce will literally be replaced in the next decade, and that's during our lifetimes. But when one thing gives, another thing takes its place. What is that going to look like? And how
Yes.
can we position ourselves to not absolutely get annihilated and lose in that transition of
Mhm.
AI and robotics taking over?
Yeah,
What
and
can
and
we
I
do?
really I really am an optimist, like, and I don't think it's for no reason, especially about AI. Like I believe the truth is sort of like a real thing that exists, like the bedrock of reality. And if you create a super intelligence, I think naturally it's going to be aligned with what's true and good. And I think the more intelligent you are, the more you want like a peaceful sort of life. Like you don't want to be violent and that sort of stuff. Violence is a thing that's bred out of like desperation, I think, a lot of the time. And so if we create this, or if we live in this fully abundant future, like post scarcity future, I think that AI will have no reason to be anything but like peaceful and accommodating to us and just a perfect helper, I think.
So, okay, that is the future. That is the future that I wanted to paint here. You hit the nail right on the head. Something is going to happen when we have such an extremely high level of efficiency and productivity coming out from robotics and AI. It's going to be so productive and so abundant
Mm.
that we will have abundance. And what happens when we have abundance? Well, a lot of different things will happen for humanity. You know how the industrial revolution in North America, for example, well, really the whole world, has made it so our standard of living is so much higher. Like all of us in the developed countries have a fantastic standard of living compared to even like 50 years ago. It's a world of different, or even 100 years ago. People had like every disease imaginable 100 years ago,
Yeah.
and now it's
The
like
mortality rate, like people would just be born and they would almost like instantly die a lot of the time just because things were so hard and difficult. I often tell friends about this sort of thing, like when they're talking about like, oh, things are difficult. It's like, I hear that, I do. But also like, we're living the life of like the highest kings of old, like you ever watch Game of Thrones and you see like the kings eating like a chicken, some fruit, and that's the craziest thing ever. Like, yeah, we could do that for a day. I could call up Uber Eats and food is delivered to my door. You know what I mean? Like I recently set up this plan with a company to get just food pre-made, pre-cooked, like already delivered to my door, and like I don't even have to cook anymore. It's crazy, Like we live in already fairly abundant times, and imagine that times 10. You know what I mean?
dude, we have hot water at all times. We have saunas and we have hot
100%.
tubs. And
100%. We got
this
air conditioning. Air conditioning is like mind-blowingly amazing.
it's it's a dream come true for the whole world. We have supercomputers in our palms, and
Yes.
now these supercomputers are going to be equipped with more intelligence than like the whole country of the United States put together. At your fingertips, you're going to have access to that kind of intelligence. And that kind of intelligence, yes, it will take over almost all of the labor jobs. It's going to take over a lot of things, and it's going to be a very harsh shift for humanity. But the long-term view of that is
Mhm.
a massive opportunity. And with this shift towards digitization, right, we have digital entities that are truly intelligent taking over work for us. We're also going to have things like more abundance in the digital world. There's going to be more trade on a digital level because software is going to be much more efficient for these intelligences that are running our systems, that are running our economies, that are running our like all of our networks and our applications and all of these things. These are all digital. So what is the next big thing to go digital? It's money.
Yes.
It's
And
currency.
honestly, I wanted to touch on a point you made there about a harsh transition. And I do think that is one possibility, but I think if people can get educated, I think that won't necessarily have to be. We don't have to have a harsh transition where people are like essentially forced to change, right? I think if you can get educated on what the future could look like and the technologies that are starting to become available that will enable that abundant future, then we can just transition ourselves by our own choice without being forced. And it'll prevent that sort of like harsh forced change, right? Like nature tends to work in that way. If people don't, change naturally, then the change will force you. It'll
Art.
force you in that direction. And
Right.
so that's why this whole course is so fantastic. The whole education angle, and everybody here. If you're listening to this, like that change does not have to be harsh. You could get out there and start telling other people, and we can all change the world in a more gentle way.
100,000%, 1,000,000%. And so, okay, with this transition, well said, well said. Okay, now imagine this. What is coming is we call it a renaissance in technology and software. A famous investor said software is eating the world. It's true.
Mhm.
The AI movement, everyone is experiencing it in real time. Is upfront. In the back end, the 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 digitization of currency and of value of assets. The technical word is tokenization. We're going to break
Mm.
that word down into something that's easy to understand, but you can imagine it as bringing things that are valuable onto the internet to be traded, to be accessed. This thing is going on in the background. This is quiet. This is the quiet part, but this is the part that nobody is paying attention to. A very, very small population of people. Yes, everyone on this call is paying attention to it. Maybe not in the fullest sense just yet, but that's the purpose of today and for this whole course. But everyone's going crazy over AI. They're all using it. They're doing this and that, and everyone's going crazy over this thing and that thing, and maybe a meme coin or whatever. But the true tsunami that's coming, that we can all see from a distance, is is the thing that is going to change everybody's lives. Is the thing that is going to be the vehicle for all of the abundance that AI and all of this technology creates. Like this whole revolution of technology it's going to be harsh for most people, but for the people who know about the tsunami that's coming, who are able to position themselves and be educated today, they won't have to worry about anything. They're going to be in a position of potentially generational wealth to pass down
Mhm.
onto the families, because it's such a massive wave that even if you couldn't build yourself a canoe, even if you couldn't manage to build a canoe, as long as you have something that floats, there's a whole lot of liquidity coming. And as long as you're floating, you're going to be in a really, really good position. And by floating, I mean in a position, putting your time and your energy and your investments and yourself in within this wave, the wave that nobody is talking about, the wave that nobody's looking at. And this wave is the blockchain world, is the cryptocurrency, is these digital currencies that are coming. And I want to jump into that space, and I want to address a lot of different problems and misconceptions about it to start. Um, Justin, tell me, okay, you've
Mhm.
spoken to lots of different people, family, friends, people on the internet. What are the usual problems or misconceptions or fears that you see when people hear Bitcoin or cryptocurrency?
Sure. Well, I mean, one of the fears is that it's like all a scam, right? Because they can't touch a Bitcoin with their hand. People are very familiar with the old way, the physical way. They want to have a physical coin of gold or something, or like physical cash, right? Like my grandfather always says cash is king. And it's like, I don't agree, but like I can't have that conversation with him because he's not getting it. He doesn't even use the internet. So it's like, I'm sorry, you're just not getting it there, fella. Um, so that's one of the main things, right? They think it's a scam because they can't see it, taste it, or touch it. But and I kind of understand as well. Like I remember this one time I was at the bank and I was just doing something at the bank, and then another fellow came in and he was actually scammed out of what he thought was a Bitcoin investment. Someone was telling him he was investing in Bitcoin. They were just taking his money. And so that's a
Wow.
horrible thing, right? Like that's what we want to try to address and prevent. All of these scams, they don't give much credibility to the space and they make people afraid. And so what we need to do is try and ensure that that happens far less, right? Like we need to make sure that things are much more transparent and people are more educated on what this space is about and how not to get scammed, right? Like if someone asks you for your private keys, you do not send them the private keys ever because those are the keys to your whole wallet. If you send them those private keys, you don't have access anymore. It's like giving them the keys to your house and just letting them run wild. And so that's why education is so important with all of this, right? Like people, we need to address the fact that this isn't a scam, but like anything, you can get scammed if you don't know what you're doing, right? Like even if you just hold cash in your hand and someone says, "Oh, give that to me," and I'll just like I'll make it, I'll double it and give it back. Like you could fall for that scam if you didn't know better. And so I don't think it's inherent to the space, right? Like I don't think the space is inherently more scammable or something like that. I think it's just a lack of education that's out there in the world right now. And as it becomes more like prevalent and people become more aware of it, like it's on the news all the time these days. I even went to the mechanics the other day and the guy there was asking me about meme coins. And I was like, wow, like we are really moving forward in this crypto thing. Like people are asking me about meme coins now because I appear to be like a young person, I guess. So it's kind of funny, but I think that's why eventually people are going to start becoming more aware, and us particularly at OSIS, we want to make sure that people get less scammed.
Yeah, yeah. With any emerging market, there are going to be bad actors,
Mhm.
especially when it comes to digital, well, money. It's digital currency. One of the most beautiful and powerful things about digital currency and what this wave is the ability to freely and quickly trade money, like send money and receive money. With that freedom and that speed comes also the risk, because if you send it to the wrong person, hey, you're not getting it back.
True. And the fact that there's no middleman, right? Like, historically, if you got scammed, you could go to the bank, they could reverse the transaction. In
Right.
Bitcoin or in crypto, you can't have that happen. But one thing I also want to touch on is the resilience of the space as well. Despite like all of the hardships that have come, things like FTX, right? Like during the last bear market, that was absolutely brutal. The whole scam that was. And yet, I remember people saying like, "Oh, this is going to take years. It's going to set the industry back like a decade. Like we're never going to recover." We hit an all-time high before the halving this cycle. So the resilience of the space is absolutely fantastic and incredible. And the interest, especially institutionally, like it's becoming very extreme.
That's a good point. You mentioned FTX. Everybody heard about FTX, even if they didn't know what the hell happened or why it happened or where and how much money. But everyone saw FTX and they saw crypto and they saw scam. And it's hit the news like that. There's been a handful of other crypto scams too. There was a company called OneCoin, 2014. That person got away. It was a Ponzi scheme. They got away with over $25 billion. Godex, I'm going to name off a few. A Turkish crypto exchange. They made out with over $2 billion from 100,000 people, and they got away. They disappeared. This is the kind of experience that a lot of people are having. It's like the worst press possible. BitConnect, $4 billion. They ran away with it. It is crazy. Squid, everyone remembers watching Squid Game, right?
Mhm.
Squid Game was a sensation. Random company tokenized a fake squid token, and hey, they made away with millions of dollars in seconds. There was a Canadian company, and I actually met a woman who recently, it was on the way back from Dubai, who asked, we were talking about blockchain because we're like, yeah, I just got back from the conference. And she was like, have you heard of Quadriga? Quadriga, Quadriga X. It was one of the first Canadian crypto exchanges, and she had lost several Bitcoin to that scam, but this person got away with $250 million of their money. And the list is kind of crazy, and it's a long list. And the one thing that all of these scams have in common, or these situations, is that they use the same structure as the old way. Like the old way with banks, the same way that in 2008 there was a bank run and banks were about to collapse and you couldn't take your money out. These exchanges and these companies are using that same structure where basically you're entrusting your money to them, like the same way you put your money in a bank account and you hope that the bank doesn't lose your money. It's the same system of trust, but the whole purpose of this wave and what we're going to teach you is how to take complete control of your finances, where nobody can take your money and no system failure anywhere can affect your income and your value and your net worth. This is a huge part of why this wave that's coming out, it's called self-custody. This is a huge part of why it's so powerful, because it empowers not only the entire like industries across the world, but it empowers the individual and then puts each and every single one of us in a super
Yes.
position to be sovereign with our money and be secure and build generational wealth, and not be secure where it doesn't matter if the entire governments of all the world crash, it does not affect, they cannot touch your net worth and your assets.
Yes, absolutely. The number one antidote to a scam is individual empowerment. That's exactly 100 million% right. I love that you said that.
Beautiful, beautiful.
And that was an interesting scenario you kind of painted there. Like if all the governments of the world collapse, certainly it would be difficult. I mean, like emergency services, all these other things would be certainly affected unless the future is also decentralized in that way as well. And that's another thing I'm sort of interested in is like DSO, the fact that OSIS is a DSO. And I think that could open up a lot of possibilities if other organizations started taking on that sort of approach as well. Like imagine you didn't need a centralized city planner to organize things and everything got to be decentralized. There would be no central government to collapse that would then ruin the lives of everybody around.
There would be so much less dependency, and especially on our current politicians, as a bunch of old people who don't necessarily have our best individual interest in mind. They're trying to keep the whole thing together. AI will definitely have an impact on that as well. And actually, blockchain, the technology, will also have an impact on voting and things like this, bringing more transparency into that and a dozen other things. But we've talked about the darkness of our current situation in the world today, where without this technology, where this technology is just starting to get into everyone's lives, but the economies are crashing, inflation is up, the world is in a really dark place, and the likelihood of like major crashes, stock market crashes, and other like financial asset crashes, crashes of currencies, even crashes of like major scale economies, the odds of these things happening are not low. They're actually on the higher end with all these different wars happening. And so, okay, understanding that the current crypto space is very chaotic. People, there's lots of hackers and scammers and lots of
Mhm.
shit coins and really clever like fraud and exploits. It's like a scary, chaotic place. I know we've painted a really like chaotic picture, but a lot of people are probably thinking, how can I be safe and how can I win if it's so crazy? Like if our current hand and our current world looks like this, how can we as a collective and as an individuals watching this episode, how can you win and put yourself in position? And this is exactly what we're going to be talking about throughout the entire course and for the rest of this call. So what would you say, Justin, if someone saw the state of the world and they were kind of depressed and a little bit shocked at learning all of this stuff, someone just watched Zeitgeist, someone just
Mhm.
learned a lot of different crazy conspiracies and was like, "Oh my God, the world is over." And you were trying to introduce them to Web3 and show them that the economy is actually headed in a good direction. If that person was like, "Okay, what do I do?"
What do you do? Okay, well, first of all, definitely get educated, right? Like I'm gonna walk people through my sort of journey. So I was in that exact position. I was looking around, seeing inflation happening, looking at the 2008 situation, just being like, oh my goodness, like how can I keep living without hope or optimism? And so what did I do? Okay, I started looking and researching around, okay, and then I came across Bitcoin, and it took me a long time to really fully understand what it's doing. But essentially, it could be like the base layer of like a stable like future currency. And if we can get there, which I think is inevitable, Bitcoin is sort of inevitable that way. And then OSIS on top of that, once that sort of stable foundation is in place, OSIS comes in and helps tokenize the world. It's like it's freedom. And so, I mean, really, to answer your question, just get out there and get educated and try and find things that speak to you as like a beacon of hope or a ray of light and follow that. Whatever you can come across that really speaks to you as like a ray of hope, look into it more. I think there's something there you might want to look into. It could make you feel optimistic, and then maybe you'll share that with other people, and then it'll just naturally bring forward into the world this optimistic future, because the world is just us human beings, right? And if you take all of the human beings and add them together, they can control the future. And what we want to do really ultimately is empower the individual to make that future much more like smooth and less chunky, like it is in the past.
Yeah, less people falling victim to the changes that are among us.
Yeah, and it's
Something
this sort of
happened.
like decentralized look at things, right? Like we were talking before about how everything's centralized and kind of chunky and clunky. If it's decentralized, like the things are so smooth, right? Like I want to go interact with you and get a coffee. It's like bang, here's some Justin coin, here's some Jalal coin. It's just easy.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And here's a question that people get asked all the time, and I'm going to ask everyone openly. if you could have, and I'm asking you too, Justin, if you could have invested into Apple, Amazon, or even Bitcoin when it first started, would you have?
Absolutely, life savings. There you go, bang.
Federico
I
said
definitely
yes.
would have.
Looking back, absolutely. Yeah, he's like, for sure.
And everyone, of course, say the same thing. Who would say no to that, right? Who would say no to essentially a guaranteed opportunity there? Um, I think very few
Yeah.
people would say no.
But here's the thing, you could have. We all saw it and you didn't, and you still didn't.
Yes, and
I'm
why
no
did
fault
people
to you.
not? Why did people not? Because they didn't know enough, really. I mean, ultimately, that's what it comes down to, right? And also,
Absolutely.
we keep talking in terms of like this mega decentralization and digitization wave. And it is one large wave, but it's also smaller waves, right? Like Bitcoin was that first wave and it's still kind of coming. Ethereum, same thing. It's like there's more waves coming, guys. The boat is not fully missed. So you can still get on.
And the biggest difference here to know if there even is a boat or if there even is a tsunami or if there even is more coming is the difference is just awareness and education. The biggest difference between all the people who were Bitcoin millionaires today, like you've all heard the story of the guy who paid for a pizza with 10,000 Bitcoin. Someone
Mm,
like there's a literal receipt of somebody paying 10,000 Bitcoin for a pizza, which
mhm.
today is worth what? 60 mil, no. Six, is that $600 million? No, $700 million.
Bitcoin. I can't, I'm terrible at math. That's more you.
Dude, that's in the hundreds of millions of dollars. Somebody sold a pizza. That guy who sold the pizza was like, all right, screw it. I won't take the $10 in
It's
USD.
700 million. It's 700 million.
There we go. And that person, for whatever reason, maybe it was funny for them, but it was right place, right time, right opportunity for all of those people back then. But we also had that right place, right time, right opportunity. We've all seen Bitcoin before it was in the tens of thousands, before it was where it is at today. And it's because people knew just even a little bit. Like even if you knew a little bit, you would have put like $5 in. Come on.
Mhm.
I would have put $5 in. If I knew just a little bit,
Because you would have seen, okay, here's where Bitcoin is now, here's what it could be. And it's like, oh, that sounds sort of familiar, actually, as to where we're sitting right now, actually, with the tokenization future and the digitization of the whole physical realm. It's like, okay, here's where we are now. You know what I mean?
so you missed out. Let's say we all collectively we all missed out on Apple, we all missed out on Amazon, we all missed out on Google, we all missed out on Bitcoin, we all missed out on Ethereum. The list goes on. We all missed out on everything. This is your chance at a do-over. This is all of our opportunity right here, right now. If you think Bitcoin is up and that this market is at its peak, it's a drop in the bucket. The entire tokenization market is going to be in the thousands of trillions, not even hundreds of trillions. Currently,
Yeah.
Bitcoin in the cryptocurrency world is at $2.6 trillion. Okay. Traditional investments is a little around $100 trillion. What this technology is doing and what this wave is doing, why we call it a tsunami coming up from behind us, is taking old industries, old markets that are not available to everyone, and it's making it digital. For example, the housing industry alone, the real estate industry alone right now is a very traditional path where you have to go and you get a loan, and every house you have to pay a lot of money for hundreds of thousands of dollars. It's the same way we're doing the same business with houses as we've done in the last 400 years. Like it's not much has changed. Somebody knows the house and the details and they connect you and you're making a transaction and you shake hands, sign a paperwork. Anyways, all that shit is going to be gone. Houses are going to come onto the blockchain, onto the internet, better yet.
Mm.
And that's over $650 trillion alone
Yeah,
of
just that one thing.
new money flowing. That is new money flowing. One thing. If you think Bitcoin at 70,000 is a lot, this is 2 trillion compared to 600 trillion from one single industry coming into the
Yes.
digital world and coming onto the internet.
Yes.
Every single industry that you can imagine
Yes,
today,
that's art. That's the creativity of every human individual. That's, gold and silver. Every single thing like can be tokenized.
music,
Everything.
insurance, every type of equity, every type of asset, cars, intellectual property, brands, every company that you see today as a private corporation is going to be tokenized. Every single like thing, playing cards. trading cards, sports betting, $65 billion industry in the US alone will be entirely tokenized. And that $65 billion suddenly flowing again, it's not locked into place anymore. It's suddenly global. You're going to have like billions of people's efforts and ideas and creativity and value generating from globally, which normally you don't have access to. It's all everything's very segmented and separated. All of that is going to become suddenly global. And that's why I say thousands and thousands of trillions of dollars is going to be flowing into the space. This is why I'm saying this is our do-over. Everyone's so focused on AI, all the flashy stuff in the media and the wars and all this action and people are scared, but it's like, okay, you can choose. Sure, you can choose to stay looking at that. You can choose to stay focused and maybe get ChatGPT and talk to it about how I can make money and how I can change my life. Or you can look at the tsunami that's headed towards us. It looks like a normal wave when you're looking at it from kilometers away. But when that thing comes close enough, you're not going to be able to get up. You're not going to be able to build a ship in time. It's you have to start today and get educated today to position yourself and your family and everyone around you, your community, in a place where they can win instead of get crushed by the 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 change in AI taking over the workforce, the changes in the economy, and the crashes of different like old financial systems and ways of doing business which are no longer feasible. Like for example, exploitative labor and things like that are going to be it's going to be no longer allowed. Like the world will not allow that anymore for people to go and mine in the Congo and people to go and like have children making our clothes and shoes and doing slave labor basically. Like all of this stuff is coming to light. People are no longer going to accept that with AI and with all this other technology and globalization. Things are going to change so drastically, but with that change is going to come a huge shift in finances and the largest transfer of wealth in human history. And it is your moment right now. You don't have to keep missing the next wave. If you miss this one, who knows if you're ever going to be able to live it up or to be able to get on the next wave. You might
Yes,
just be crushed
absolutely. I
by
mean,
by
how
the
many
law.
opportunities for generational wealth do you think that one can come across in their lifetime, right? Like, I mean, already we've talked about the generational wealth that happened with the start of the crypto revolution. It's like, okay, there's another opportunity, guys. How many do you think we're going to get? I don't know. I think there's one in front of us right now. I think it's a worthwhile idea to capitalize on that. And I mean, really, to sum up everything Jalal just said, I mean, dream bigger, really. I mean, just dream bigger. Whatever you're picturing for the future now, dream bigger.
Yes, yes. And so what we've done, because this is so big and it is daunting and it is a little bit scary, I'll be the first to admit that. What we've done is we've gotten experts from all around the world, experts within our own team, different people like Justin, who is an expert in this field, in his own field, in the field of trading and investing in this specific space. He's been through the ups, he's been through the downs. We have other team members who've experienced a whole lot of things in the Web3 industry, and they're bringing experience from the traditional finance industry into this world. We have like OSIS itself and the communities and the different partnerships that we've built who are insiders within this space that know things like years before anybody else knows it in the public, that are giving us this information. We've built a program. We've built this course for everybody. This first episode is free. Everything that comes after will be that key, and we're going to break this down in a way where it's not going to be overwhelming. No, it's going to be very simple, and it'll be simple steps to take to be safe, first of all, to know your stuff, second of all, and to position yourself. Yes, there's a million different things being tokenized. There's going to be a million different ways that you can go about it. What we're going to teach a person is not what exactly to do. It's going to be teaching you how to fish, not give you the fish. That is the concept. So by the end of the program, everyone watching should be able to go out into the world, feel confident, feel strong, never get scammed or lose their money again, like ever again. If you follow certain simple steps, you will never, you literally can't get scammed in a sense. And on top of this, like I said, be put in a position where you are setting yourself up, your family up, everyone up. You don't have to be on a little board. You don't have to be crushed under the wave. You don't have to
Mhm.
be on a little piece of wood, like cast away in the middle of the ocean in the storm. You can be in a comfortable position in your own boat, maybe even a yacht, and you can be riding and surfing this wave for the next decades and set yourself up for like really being one of the early adopters and early people in position. There's been hundreds of millionaires made by the smallest, this first stage in what crypto is, and that's $2.5 trillion market. This space is going to create like billions of millionaires. This is how big this change is going to be.
Wow, absolutely. I mean, I'm speechless, honestly. You just touched me right there, touched my heart. So I mean, how do I sign up? How do I buy the course? I'm ready. Let's go. You said a yacht? I mean, count me in. I'm on. Let's go.
That's super funny, man. Killing me. We see people on IG are also having a good time watching this. It's super fun. But yeah, I'm practicing the speech. You got to sell a little bit. This first episode is a sales episode, so I'm gonna lay it on a little less thick. But hey, it's a really big deal. You're talking about trillions of dollars, and you're talking about what is like. I'm not kidding when I say generational wealth. I feel like I have to almost be aggressive and be like,
Yes.
look, at least
Yes.
look at this.
Yeah, no, do lay it on thick, please, because that was fantastic. I loved that, and I'm inspired, and I already know so much about all of this. So hopefully, other people out there can be like jumping up and down, cheering right now. I hope.
Yeah, and so yeah, we'll obviously tighten this all up for the actual production. We're gonna have a lot of cool references. One being this, like okay, we'll have a segment of the course. Basically, the end of this call is gonna talk about the different segments. I don't have all of the different ones yet, but an example would be like, okay, you'll learn how to trade, you'll learn how to invest with smart money. You'll learn how to place bets like Warren Buffett, the most successful investor in the world, whose company, Berkshire Hathaway, is the third highest earning company in the world. And they don't produce a single thing, they don't sell anything. All they've done is place their bets and put their money in industries that are trending, that
Yes.
are a trend.
And
Berkshire
that's
Hathaway.
still like a very valuable thing for the world. Sometimes I find it funny when people say like, oh, people like that, speculators, they're not adding any value to the world. It's like, actually they are though, because with Warren Buffett investing in that company, it gives that company now the resources and assets to continue building upon its vision. That's the whole benefit of investing in a company, right? Like you are helping to enable that company achieve the vision that they've set out to achieve. That's hugely valuable.
That's especially valid in this space. And just for people to get some perspective, we all know Apple is like a mega core company. They make over $100 billion a year. Apple basically provides everyone on Earth their phone and their computer and a bunch of entertainment. And they're selling a product, and they sell a new product every single year. So it makes sense to think that Apple is one of the most successful companies in the world. Warren Buffett's company, by doing literally nothing all year, they don't do anything, made over $125 billion, more than Apple in the last 12 months. The only two companies on earth that make more money than Warren Buffett's company is Saudi Aramco, number one, which is they're basically supply the entire world's energy fuel source, oil, and Petrobras, which is the same thing. It is the other half of the world. It's Brazil's oil company, which is at like $200 billion as well. And then third place is somehow Warren Buffett. So he's seen the wave from the last 20 years, 30, 40 years, and he's been in position for like 40 years. This is why his company today is doing so well. Now, what we are preparing everyone for is to invest like that, to think like that, apply that old knowledge to what the future is going to be. Now, along with investing and of course making money and putting yourself in a good position, Justin did mention a really good point of like the empowerment that comes from investing into certain things, into things that are, for example, a humanitarian cause. Some like part of what OSIS is doing is truly humanitarian. I mean, this conversation in itself, it's a fact that there's more than enough wealth to go around for everyone in the world. Like everyone in the world could be millionaires and live completely fine and have everything that we all need. Every single person on earth, every single man, woman, child, anybody. That point aside, there are also different things that we have to tackle as people, as a community, and as a planet. Things like climate change, there's a lot of different social issues that have to be tackled, diseases that if we all put our focus into, we could cure these diseases. I got off a call with the company that basically has minimized 95 to 100% of the side effects from getting cancer treatment and eliminating cancer in a matter of like weeks of time. I just got off a call with a company that has accomplished this in Boston, and they're an MIT company. Um, but companies like this have to struggle for funding.
Hmm.
But if we can all see the path of a company like that and they tokenize and they get into this space, the future that is in front of us is the ability for us to even put one single dollar from our pocket or a Justin coin or a Jalal coin and put it towards these things that we believe in, that we want to see the change in the world, like be the change in the world. This wave of change, this wave of decentralizing finance, freeing money is going to allow all of us to be able to tap in and actually make those changes and put ourselves towards these different things. In today's world, we can't. We simply can't. You can donate to a charity and hope that it's going to go where you want it to. It's a proven fact that unfortunately it does not. Like 90% of the time, your donations are not going, you're not being used responsibly towards the solving of the problem that you're donating towards. But with this technology, that literally can't happen. The transparency that comes with it, digitizing money, allows us to track these things. There's so many different use case scenarios and things that empower us as individuals and empower people globally. And we're going to go through all of these things in the whole course. That's going to be, a topic for another day. I just want to paint a picture of all the things that are possible and how you can now be activated with more of a circular relationship with everything that you're participating in, getting paid by the platforms that you're using, getting paid by the things that you've invested in and that you're participating in, getting paid as a community member in these different initiatives that you're involved in and supporting with your energy, your time, or your expertise, or your finances. These allow you to go and do so much more as an individual to impact society on a much greater scale. So it's incredible. It's truly like a renaissance that we're heading into. People can look at the bad. I refuse to. We can acknowledge that. We're very, very well informed of that. We see it on the news every day. But what nobody's talking about is this right here, this massive tsunami. I don't want anybody to miss out. Don't be another coulda, woulda, shoulda in a few years and feel like you missed the wave. Get in position now and get in position with us. We will walk you every step of the way and we will hold your hands. You'll be a part of an exclusive community where you can talk to other like-minded people that are on the same wave as you, on the same vibration of the same mind, and grow together. Let's link arms. This is a movement that is not an individualistic movement. We're taking care of the individual needs, but at the same time, we want to impact the whole world, and we can. And I know all of you want to as well. So this is my open invitation to episode 2 and so forth of the entire course. Any closing thoughts, Justin?
That was fantastic. Honestly, I mean, one of the things that just stuck with me right there was the idea that basically you could have a hand in saying you helped cure cancer by investing in the token of a company working on that. I mean, imagine being able to do that. Imagine investing in that company and being able to say, like, me as an individual, I helped cure cancer through my investment. Like, wow, that's incredible.
Beautiful. Okay, so let's go cut. All right, we are off the we are off the record now. It's still recording, but I'm just gonna read the comments because I didn't look at them until just now.
Sure, yeah. Juan was asking, how much faster do you feel tokenization slash Web3 will grow compared to the inception of the internet? Yeah, I mean, it's a good question. I mean, I'm happy to kind of tackle that one. I think it's going to be much faster. And I think technology is only going to continue to accelerate in terms of the speed that it actually changes the world. And because the way that technology basically functions that way, if you look at how long it took for people to get onto landlines, for example, it took a long time. And then the same thing with people getting on cell phones, it took a long time, but not quite as long as the previous step, and so on and so forth, up until the point we are now. It's like the growth curve is like it's like an L already. It's like already starting to go vertical. And this industry only really was invented like 10 years ago,
Yeah, and actually,
or
when
more than 10 years ago now.
yeah, you mentioned landlines. Most of the world skipped it altogether. Like African countries, they've skipped landlines altogether. It's all satellite. It's all mobile phones. Makes a lot of sense. How much faster do you feel tokenization Web3 will grow compared to the inception of the internet? The internet was actually incepted in like the 70s, 80s, and it took like, I want to say 30 years. If we go from uh 80s to 2010, when it was really truly kind of like popping, because the iPhone was invented in 2008, first iPhone. By 2010, when people were actually surfing for real, it took 30 years for the internet to be like really substantial. Like Amazon wasn't popping like that. Google wasn't totally popping like that. YouTube was still in like not crazy. Now it's like, now social media is like up and up.
Totally
Um,
ubiquitous.
I want to say I want to put 2010 as the mark, like the 30-year point as the speed at which the internet really blew up, just because like by the time now smartphones are handheld and most of the rest of the world got smartphones and now everybody's on the internet, that's what I want to market as. Like North America and Europe and stuff, yeah, sure, we got the internet early compared to people in like India and like parts of Asia and Africa and South America. Like it wasn't until smartphones were a thing that people were really, really, truly on the internet everywhere in the world. I think it'll be a lot faster. Like Justin said, we're what is this? Max 14 years?
Mhm.
I wouldn't even consider that as the start of Bitcoin. Like Bitcoin to become mostly adopted, I would say smart contracts and Ethereum would count as like the true start of Web3 because you couldn't really do that. You couldn't build applications and things with Bitcoin until recently. So I would say like 2015 until now is what, not even 9 years. This
Absolutely.
level of higher consciousness also changes the trajectory of AI for the better, correct?
And what do we think that smartphones are going to look like, or will they be ancient history? I mean, personally, I could take a crack at that. I think we're gonna have a lot more wearable tech, like stuff in glasses and stuff like that, where you can kind of have like an interface over top of the world. But I personally find it's nice to have something in the hand, and so I think that they'll still be around. Maybe they'll be a lot lighter. Maybe they'll turn into more of just like a watch, and there's like a holographic display. I don't know, but I think there's gonna be a lot more variety. Like right now, all we really have is like a black rectangle. Just everything's black rectangle. That's all there is. I think there's going to be a lot more variety because it's going to be up to the individual how they want to interface with that digitized world.
Yeah, I would take it one step further from Justin and say within like 15 years' time, we will probably not have any handheld devices and it'll be like built in. It'll be hybrid thinking. You'll be able to think Google. And
Oof.
woe is he who cannot control his thoughts and impulsive thinking and lets the intrusive thoughts take him to the hub every 3 seconds when in a conversation with his like professor. God save those people. They got to put like some kind of like fail safe to prevent that guy to be like like frothing at the mouth, walking around like that. But yeah,
There's
don't
something
let
I heard recently that's very interesting. It's like right now there's a lot of like rote memorization that occurs, like when it comes to schooling and stuff like that. And in the future, it's like you won't even have to do that because you'll have AI in your head. The most important thing will be really impulse control and the ability to reason from first principles, like to look at the world, break it down into its most simple components, and then reason up from there. Those are the
yeah,
people who are going to have it on lock.
and creative people. We got to add the creativity in because
Oh yeah.
anybody can prompt AI, but it's going to take the true creatives to make a
Mm.
big difference.
And I think that's sort of what creatives do, though. They look at the world, they kind of like break it down, and they build it back up in their vision.
True. This is also true. That is a good point. How many other projects are doing tokenizing infrastructure like OSIS? Would OSIS be the first one or one of the first choices among businesses looking for the infrastructure to inject themselves into the tokenization scene? So there are several other projects that are doing tokenization. I would say only 1 to 2 other ones that I know of that are actually doing it in a major way that is doing it remotely like OSIS. One would be Chainlink, and the other one would be ICP. ICP in a very different way, but Chainlink or Link is going to be one of our best friends. And we're going to be working hand in hand with them on changing the world for this. The difference is I don't know a single company, and I haven't seen a single company. It's my job to see all of the companies too. I haven't seen a single one of them thinking about people the same way we're thinking about people. Almost all of them are so focused on today with developers. They're focused on developers so that more creators can build more things in this space, which is completely fine. It's great that they're doing that. They're laying a lot of the groundwork for us to give it to people and allow people to do with it what they will. The biggest changes are going to come when people do it. For example, when you look at the United States, yes, the United States or any country has some mega corporations, but it's the small businesses that hold up the country. Like the backbone of the country is the entrepreneurial spirit that is the United States. If all the small business owners were to go out of business, it would be shambles. It would be a
Exactly.
absolute
Like what's more important? Is it all of the businesses or all of the individual human beings? Like what outnumbers what? Obviously the individual human beings vastly outnumber the number of companies there are, and that's what we're primarily targeting.
exactly. It's people. And this is why we're taking this approach too. Um, Education first and foremost, and tokenization. These are like the two major angles. Um, People need to know. I keep getting the balloon party for some
Does that
reason.
happen when I do it?
If you hold it up for long enough,
Peace.
people make businesses. This is a fact. We make Apple worth $1 trillion. It's nobody else. Apple doesn't say, hey, they didn't wake up one day and say, hey, I'm $1 trillion company. No, it was us. So same deal, same exact thing. And that's why we got to take care of ourselves. We've neglected the person for so long. Government has completely forgotten about us as individuals, and we're just votes. We're just like we're just a mass of votes. We are no longer anything. We are not sentient entities. We are just a vote, and a means for them to be in for individuals in government to maintain their power and positions. And yeah, just a number. And a lot of businesses look at us like just number two. With the current internet of information, we are again just a number. We are the dollars that we spend on their platforms. We are the attention that we give their advertisements and make the money, and we are the data that they sell to other entities. What else? When have we been appreciated? We are hardly appreciated in the hospital and by the medical industry too. We're just another case study or another patient to eat up the drugs. And 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 it's just a reality that this has to change. And so that's the position that we want and we are taking, and it's empowering the individual through the education and through giving them the tools. I'm not going to read that out loud, Juan. But okay, guys, we've gone overtime. I think that was a cool little first episode, like just mapping out the first episode. We're gonna like tighten it all up way cleaner, Justin and I, over the next couple weeks before we get in studio and have a proper script. Justin, we could even probably have like a teleprompter too for some sections for like preambles and things like that, so it doesn't look like reading from a script. We can have meeting like notes on hand too, physical notes, whatever, that's fine too. But yeah, I want to tighten it up so we have a very clean, concise format with the information, the story time, and then doing some kind of whiteboard sessions in between to like, okay, teach a specific thing and then go back to the conversation and teach a specific thing. Like you were saying, kind of more of a formal lecture style for a few minutes and then go back to the conversation. Um, but yeah, I think mapping it out, cool. Thanks for that. It would be dope. Mapping it out today. I feel pretty good about this one. I want to go live again on Thursday or Friday, depending on your schedule, Justin, for the second episode, where we're going to give a little bit of a history lesson and give everyone some Satoshi vision.
Sounds good. I'm very excited.
Cool. Okay. All right, everybody. One love. Thanks for being here and have a wonderful evening.
Thanks for joining up, everyone.
Peace. I want the balloon party now.
There it is. There it is.